We're only months away from a Great Depression. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.Heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. I have my stein of coffee, and I thought we'd have a look at this article written by Alexis Kerry from news.com.au, where she discusses Harry Dent's take on the coming economic crisis, massive bankruptcies, years of meltdown, a once-in-a-lifetime financial crash. Hopefully a once-in-a-lifetime financial crash. I think a lot of people are not even going to be the slightest bit prepared or aware. We're still seeing property pundits talking up the property market in Australia, everyone. We're just months away from a Great Depression-style disaster, with massive bankruptcies, soaring unemployment and crashing house prices set to hit Aussies hard. That's the view of US demographer and financial commentator Harry Dent, who believes the pandemic is simply the perfect trigger that will set off an already sick economy. Well, there you go, guys. What do you think? What do you think about Harry's take? I think I actually watched one of his talks last year when he came to Australia, and it was quite interesting what he's putting forward and how he anticipated what would happen in Japan when no one else did. That really shot him to prominence. So we have to at least put some weight into what he's arguing. While the pandemic has sucker-punched global markets, Mr. Dent, who correctly predicted the 2008 crash, said the looming depression has been building for years. Now, I'm sure for a lot of us, and a lot of people, regulars who've been watching the channel, this isn't really a surprise. We've been just discussing some of the issues in the Australian economy for a while. That's part of the reason why I've been doing these YouTubes, trying to understand what is going on, trying to see through all the hype and spin in the media. And once you realize these commentators, particularly their own investment and vested interests, how there's so much bias there. This isn't like academic rigor. They can just be shilling in the media and getting paid for it. I guess, yeah. Maybe my innocence is just disappearing. I'm becoming more cynical the older I'm getting. I'm turning into a grumpy old man right on cue, I think. Right on cue. It's working well. Middle age is approaching. It'll be good. Central banks and governments have stimulated the economy so much that the entire world is on the brink of a 1930s style meltdown, he said. They have literally printed trillions and trillions of dollars, and along with the Australian government's multi-billion-dollar stimulus package, have created a property and mortgage bubble that, combined with increased unemployment, will be the catalyst for massive bankruptcies. This is the 2-year meltdown between late 2020 and late 2022, and nothing can stop it. Nothing can stop it. I mean, I can't say I'm at all surprised. I find it hard to fathom how, with our unemployment rate that's shot up, and I will just find that here, that's shot up, and this is only based on the ABS data, not the Roy Morgan data. I prefer their combined unemployment and underemployment at 25%. With that shooting up, and people in mortgage arrears, hundreds of thousands of people have had to take these mortgage repayment holidays, guys. That just tells you that they're going to be in stress. Martin North has been talking about it for quite some time, just mortgage stress increasing. And that's going to lead to other social issues we have here in Australia, around the world. But one thing that's been happening is there's been an increase in intimate partner violence. I've been hearing it in the streets. Literally, from neighbours. Yes, they're screaming, smashing things. It's calmed down, but that is a manifestation of this stress. You'll get relationship breakdowns. You'll get people struggling. It's one thing to consider, guys, when we're, if you're prepared for this, just, think about your mates. Okay, reach out to them. Don't gloat too much if you're in a safe situation and they're not. Be there for a bed if you can. Just keep that in mind, guys, because if this is a prolonged thing, it's going to be a test of Australia's character. So let's get back to the article. He told news.com.au conditions were much worse now than before the GFC, and predicted Australia's real estate market could go down by 30 to 50%. The bubble is off the charts. It's so obvious, and there's no easy way out and no magic solution, he said. Now, here's the thing, guys. There'll be some people going, yay, property down 30, 50%. Fantastic. But the problem is when a bubble bursts, there'll be collateral damage to the rest of the economy. We're hitting a recession. I think no one can doubt that. The fact that anyone is arguing that we're not or thinks it'll all snap right back, I think that's a lot of hope and optimism coming through there. We're seeing people not ready to face reality. That's what I'd argue. But if we see 30 to 50%, we see businesses cutting back staff, we see bankruptcies everywhere, property plunges. Remember, it's not just, you can't just say, oh, I'm never selling my property for that amount. You know, I'm never doing that. It's not you. It's the edge cases, guys. It's the people who are desperate, the people who are unemployed, the people whose marriages have fallen apart because of this, and now they're just selling because they don't care. Or they have to sell. And it snowballs. It's those investors that aren't getting any money for their Airbnbs that are forced to sell. It's the edge cases that pushes the price, that manipulates the price. Why do you think prices have just shot up, guys, in property? Why do you think housing affordability is off the charts and property prices have skyrocketed? Because one reason is foreign investment, I'd say. At least back in 16, 17. That was pushing that up. The edge cases, guys. It's going to be a big shock. Most of the time when there's a correction or a recession, you just sit through it. But this is not that. This is a once-in-a-lifetime thing, and its closest correlation is not the GFC. It's not the recession of the 80s or 90s. It's like the early 30s. Yes, someone's finally talking about it, and it's making it on mainstream media. You've got to remember, everyone, this article will be the first time some people realize to think back to the Great Depression. Just think about that. Where else have we heard it before? Sure, those of us who watch, YouTube and, follow Harry Dent or, Mike Myers or anyone else on YouTube, Peter Schiff. Okay, that's like something you hear on a daily basis. But, not everyone watches that. So I just think about it. I was just talking to a friend of mine who's asking me, should I get in a property now? I said, oh, mate, wait. Just hold off and see what happens. Maybe chuck a bit of money in gold as an inflation hedge. A lot of people haven't thought about that, guys. It's the greatest bubble in history. There's no way central banks can beat the monsters they've created with financial asset bubbles. Mr. Dent, who has been described as a doom expert by critics in the past, said detractors could ignore his warnings at their own peril. My point of view is simple, and you can believe it or not, but if you don't, you'll be sorry, he said. We will never get back to where we were, even with stimulus. It will be the biggest crash of our lives, and there will be a really big reset in the economy. Everyone will have to raise taxes. Well, see, this is the thing, guys. They're going to have to, one way or another, either to pay down the debt they've incurred or to manage the increased flow of money and to manage inflation with MMT magic. But he said the good news was the crash would work in favor of everyday people, as rich listers were more exposed to risk and people still had some time up their sleeves to sell assets they didn't want to keep for life because the major crash hit, meaning now was the time to downsize. I mean, there's some people in the comments who are saying sell your house, some viewers who sold the house a couple of years ago. I mean, I'm tempted, but I know my house is not worth. I'd be selling the land, not the house. It's probably more hassle than it's worth for me. An old Queenslander I can just modify and, house hack is a lot better than moving into something new and flashy. I should do a series on repairing my house. There'll be years worth of content, another YouTube channel. Get out of risky assets for a couple of years. This will not last forever. I'm not bearish at all, but it's the biggest risk of a crash we'll see in our lifetime. So if you don't get serious about your financial assets, you're going to be in trouble. It's D-Day, he said. So here you go. He's not bearish at all. Not bearish at all. But it's the biggest risk. And here we go. Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. I've been watching some of his stuff on YouTube. And it's interesting. He's saying there's opportunity. There's opportunities in every crash. The biggest risk I would see, not even the crash, not even a depression, is Australia pivoting hard to socialism. And then opportunities being sucked up by all of those with political connections. So, do not listen to politicians or financial advisors or real estate people who say it will be a short-term crisis. During the GFC, people say we wouldn't see anything that bad again. But this is going to be worse for two reasons. Debt is high, and the demographic trend is even weaker. There's almost no chance next year won't be a very bad year. You won't find a bigger bubble anywhere in history. The Harvard Economics will be joined by Rich Dad Poor Dad author and personal finance expert Robert Kiyosaki and Australian property analyst Martin North on Sunday, May 24, for a free webinar to discuss the looming crisis and how to prepare for the tough road ahead. Oh, there you go, guys. There you go. Are you going to watch that? You should probably get in there in the live chat, guys. Have a few rums and listen to Martin, Robert, and Harry. Mr. Kawasaki told news.com.au the world economy was already weak and that the pandemic simply helped create the perfect storm. The biggest problem is the world's debt. Such debt is unprecedented in history, he said. And he warned Australia was particularly at risk as China was now in a serious financial position, and when China catches a cold, Australia gets pneumonia. Yeah, I can't say I'm surprised. But he said the crisis would bring with it plenty of prospects. With the best real estate on planet Earth, Australia's about to go on sale. On sale. He said falling house prices would present an opportunity for suave buyers, but that Aussies would have to compete with Chinese buyers who would be tempted to invest. It would also be the perfect chance for entrepreneurs to pounce. Every Aussie has a mobile phone and is now connected to the world. So there's no reason, if you're an entrepreneur living in Bondi, that you couldn't be marketing to the whole planet, he said. That's a really good point. That's a really good point. We're in a different world. You just have to change your mindset and try and take advantage of some of the opportunities that are available out there. Einstein said imagination is more important than knowledge. And I'm very optimistic the future will belong to entrepreneurs and not corporate guys because they're nimble and can make changes more quickly. They can talk to the world, and even language is not a barrier anymore, thanks to technology. Perhaps, an optimistic end to a depressing article, or, a foreshadowing of potential economic calamity here in Australia. There are opportunities out of this. There always will be. Perhaps going through some hard times will help our civilization. Perhaps we'll become stronger out of it. What do you think, everyone? We need some creative destruction in an economy, because that gives room for the new shoots to grow up above. As always, thank you for watching. Please let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. If you're a fan and you'd like to support the channel, there are a few ways you can. You can join us on YouTube or Patreon. You can support the channel via our affiliate links at Amazon or eBay or Independent Reserve and Kucoin. You can use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint. Support us via our merch or support us via PayPal. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next video.